Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz, and it is some review time. We're doing some more reviews. We did a bunch of reviews jumbled in last week, and we're doing another big jumble review now. We have John Wick 4, we have Rye Lane, and we have Dungeons and Dragons. What's
Honor Among Thieves? Honor Among Thieves, I think. Yes.
Or let's get started talking about this because we have takes. We have things to say that
we do. You're not going to like a lot of these takes. Yeah, we'll start off by saying that. But
yeah, so we're going to start with John Wick Chapter 4, which neither of us really enjoyed. Before you click away, allow us to explain our reasoning. I'll start. Not the biggest action movie fan, okay? I'm just going to lay all those cards out on the table. You can see all of them. You can view them, all 52. And I can fully respect and admire how fantastic, and I cannot emphasize the fantastic enough, fight choreography and like stunt work in John Wick Chapter 4 is. It is stunning. It is incredible. It is impeccable. Insert more adjectives. Like, it's great, but I did not feel a single thing throughout the entire 3 hours. And when you have a 3-hour-long movie that is just prolonged fight sequence after prolonged fight sequence, and you're giving me absolutely no emotional hinge to latch onto, it's going to be a little bit exhausting and not in a good way.
Yes. I mean, I echo a lot of what you said there. I can add some more adjectives like amazing, gorgeous. Yes, all of these sort of stuff are incredible and are why a lot of people will watch these films. And a lot of people will just take them out of the way and go, yes, these were an amazing film just because of this sort of stunt choreography, the action sequences, and they are brilliant. I'll point out some key examples. Steps when they were on the stairs. I thought that whole action sequence was not only very well choreographed, it was also quite funny. A lot of what it was doing. And in the opening to raid sequence, there's a lot to like different character dynamics going on, a lot of different types of action, all of that kind of stuff that you sort of want from an action film like this. It's delivered, but I just completely agree. I hope there was a little more story. I hoped I was actually watching, something to care about. And sure, it's already sort of done the legwork with the first 3 John Wick films. Like, you do sort of care about John Wick, but I don't know. I feel like the film didn't do anything more to try and build this relationship. I saw the sort of character dynamics were pretty poorly fleshed out. I didn't think any of them were really that meaningful. And so, a lot of the reason why this film failed for me was just because fundamentally it didn't really care to try and make me care.
Also kind of boring. Like, I don't know.
Exactly 3 hours,
Yeah, a lot of the fight sequences, they were all interesting in their own right, but at a certain point when it just felt like it was just an onslaught of just things happening, and I just didn't really care by a certain point, and then they all just kind of started to blur together, and I don't know, it just became a little bit dull because the film was giving me nothing. And listen, I understand it's a John Wick movie. I'm not looking for an Oscar-worthy screenplay here, okay? But
something.
Just anything to give me some kind of emotional connection to latch onto for the film. Even Top Gun Maverick, a film that I didn't particularly love or, care for all that much. It at least tried to give me something to latch onto. Whether I fully did or not, it at least tried. And I at least felt an effort there to tell a story. And to give me, some sort of emotion, because I don't even think you need a story to convey emotion. I mean, look at experimental films, right? I love experimental films, and a lot of them have no story, but they use the film form and editing, and visual contrast and all these types of things to inspire some kind of emotion. This just was lots of pretty looking cinematography and fights without anything. There was literally zero. We disagree in Wes Anderson a lot, because you say all style, no substance, and I think that a lot of the substance can be found in the style, and I do think that there are genuinely emotional stories being told, but I think we can agree on this. This is very much a zero substance film, because I think why Wes Anderson does work for me is because I am able to find some of that substance again within his style. This, I couldn't even find any substance within the style.
No, exactly. The film form techniques just feel like they're there to enhance the action, rather than enhance the actual emotion going on. The action would be good, the choreography would still be good without all of these Maximus elements. It doesn't need them. I'm very happy they're there because it did mean the film wasn't sort of boring to look at. I'm very happy they're there. They're very cool. They're very visually, whatever, unique, distinctive, cool. But they're not there to enhance the actual emotion going on, which therefore means the film just falters. I tell you what, this is just the perfect sort of background thing to put on, where it's on, it looks pretty, you may be doing something else, turn back, oh, a cool thing happened, cool, get back to work, stuff like that. Whereas watching it, sitting for 3 hours watching it, it just did not work for me. It just did not work for me. And I felt physically drained after coming out. I genuinely felt tired after exiting this.
And like, there are some films that emotionally drain me.
Fine, yeah. Got gems. And I was drained by the end of that film.
A great thing. Physically draining, I don't think is necessarily a good thing. And like, you could say, oh, well, that's because like the fight sequences were so good. But I think if the fight sequences were good and I cared about the fight sequences, then I would be like invested in it. This felt like I was like a captive audience, and it was just forcing it upon me, being like, look, we did this cool thing, look. And I was like, oh, I guess. And then like it just moves on to the next thing. Like it was a sequence of fight sequences and action sequences in service of absolutely nothing. And I don't know, do we want to get a little bit spoilery? Like, it's been a week. Well, spoilers. I'm just going to throw a timestamp up on screen. If you want to skip through spoilers to like the end of this conversation with like ratings and stuff, that will be non-spoilery. So spoilers starting now. So the ending of the film, John Wick dies.
Yep.
And it felt to me like such a cheap way to insert some sort of emotional draw into this film. It was like they, read the script and been like, there's nothing here. And then they went, oh, wait, let's just kill John Wick. That will get people emotional. And
no,
it felt very cheap and disingenuous to me.
And especially since, like, if you're going to do a character arc like this and you do give him all the goals and then he dies in the end, it's sort of just like we don't really need to know what happens to John Wick after this. Like, he doesn't need to die. He doesn't need to go off me. We don't need to know. That's the point of this arc. Like, he got what he wanted out of the film. He achieved his goals.
To kill him.
Exactly. That's what it felt like. And it felt almost emotionally manipulative in that sense. Where it did feel like, oh, we're just sort of adding this on. It felt very unexpected by the end, which means it wasn't very well hinted at throughout the rest of the film. I don't think.
No substance to build up to that. There's no.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, you're dead now. Are we meant to really care? Like, I don't know. Yeah, that was just a lot wrong with. I will give it some credit, which we didn't mention in the non-spoiler section, but I'll do it here anyway. The world building is actually quite good in this film. Like, I do like the way sort of elements are introduced. The world is built, the world feels fleshed out and whatever. But again, it falls on the same problem, whereas the world building is not servicing an emotional story. It's just there to be an extra cool thing to sort of be a bit more resonant and stay in your mind a bit longer, I guess.
Yeah. No, I 1000% agree. I mean, another thing that we can talk about, Donnie Yen's character, like, I think all of his stuff is choreographed really well, especially like his intro fight scene with John Wick. I think is really cool because like you have this like blind character and it's like, okay, how are they going to make this work? Like, how are they going to make the blind character work? And it actually does a pretty incredible job of giving like a convincing portrayal of what like a blind assassin would function like, and it doesn't like make him be like, oh, he like has superpowers and can do all these other things differently. It's like, no, he's like a blind dude and he just like has to be like very strategic and thoughtful. Like he places these things around that like set off sounds and stuff. Like it's like it's actually like a really fun way of using that type of character, and like it didn't just feel like a gimmick per se. So like I thought that was pretty fun. But like, it's just like these small little things. Overall, it doesn't work as a cohesive piece of film.
100%. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to respect, but it just doesn't quite come together. And it ended up leaving me just feeling quite bored by the end of it, really. Which is not what I want to be. Kind of boring John Wick action.
I don't even think. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't even think that this is the best John Wick movie. I still think I prefer 2.
I think I preferred 3 over this. I mean, it's close. I'd say it's not the worst John Wick, at least, because John Wick 1. It's just not
kind of bad. It's just like a bad movie.
The thing is, they always sort of just merge together 2, 3, and 4. Like, I don't think there's much to differentiate them really in quality.
No, I agree.
It's sort of the same movie.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So, anyways, rating time. Gonna give this a 5.
Yeah, 5. I mean, the thing is, there is quite a lot to like in it, so I'm thinking 5.5 maybe. Like, it's closer to 6 than it is to 4. Put it that way.
Okay, so a strong 5. A strong 5.
Yes, that would be enough way to put it.
So yeah. Sorry, we didn't enjoy it. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry if we offended you by that, but
let's talk about the Oscars though, because
oh yeah, this is an interesting film. If we turn
kind of getting raves, like we are a very distinct and small minority with this thing. It has a 78 on Metacritic, which is like amazing for like an action movie, a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's reached the top like 150 of all time on Letterboxd. Listen, I don't think that this is gonna be Top Gun because like its box office is at like I think it's about to hit like 300 worldwide. So Top Gun was like 2 billion. So this is at almost like 200 million domestic. Top Gun was like 800 million, right? This will probably end up, I don't know, I could see it reaching like 400 worldwide, but like it isn't like a smash success. It's done really, really well, but it isn't like a smash success. Paired with good reviews, I don't know. I don't know. How are you feeling about this?
Well, I would also say that it doesn't attract a sort of older audience, I don't think, in the same way films like Top Gun Maverick do, or even other big action franchises like Mission Impossible. Weirdly, John Wick feels quite tailored to the sort of Gen Z type. Like, it's an action film for Gen Z people. It's like it's beloved by Letterboxd, Twitter. But yes, it is obviously, there is wiggle room. Like, it is mainstream. As it gets further and further into the franchise, it's getting more and more mainstream. But I just think at this stage still, it's going to struggle to appeal to an older ilk Academy voter. And there are a lot of them. Still. So I don't really know how strong it's going to be. But stuff like sound, cinematography you mentioned.
I'm really honest. I didn't think that the sound mixing was like that good though. Like,
but I feel like it is a slightly more likely nomination.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
John Wick and sound
like a note on the film. I just didn't think it was that great. But like it felt very basic, and there were a couple of things that like kind of took me out of the film. It felt like a bit overblown to me, but that's just like a weirdly specific criticism. It's just a weird anecdote. But I agree. Sound, visual effects, like maybe, but like it's all mostly stunts. So
again, I mean, this didn't affect Top Gun, but it does feel like this film is very much we're not using effects. No, exactly, but we're not using effects. We're just doing it practically. That is what this film feels like it's trying to promote, which is very good at doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So like it would be sound, it would be like editing, I guess. Like the cinematography is really nice, but Dan Lauston, I believe, is already doing The Color Purple. So like if he's going to get a nomination,
cinematography is the most worthy nomination for it. But
if he's getting a nomination, he'd get it for The Color Purple.
Yeah.
So like legitimately, what are we looking at? Like people have brought up like production design, I guess, or people have brought up like the makeup for like the one fat suit type thing. I
think this is destined for the Batman. I think this will be the same thing we saw last year with the Batman. I mean, there's parallels are so clear. It's a March action film that people seem to love. Gets rave reviews, described as one of the best of the franchise, whatever. It's sort of in awards contending for a bit, but then just tapers off. And by the end, gets maybe a couple, but is it really what it wanted?
Right. So it's interesting. I think an interesting comp, because I don't think this is like the James Bond franchise, because that's like just a very big historical name. But I think an interesting comp for this potentially is the Jason Bourne franchise, which like the first 2 movies I don't believe got much attention, but then it was just weirdly like it was just like the third film in the franchise, won editing, sound, and sound editing.
Okay.
So it was just like this kind of weird thing where like the third movie did really, really well with the Oscars, and the other ones just weren't able to have the same type of success. So I don't know if we could be looking at the same type of thing just with how good the reviews are getting, like if this is a big sounds thing potentially. I don't know. I really don't. But like the rave reviews, like I feel like it'll at least get something, and I guess sound kind of makes the most sense.
I agree. I think it will get 1 nomination by the time Oscars run around, unless there is a sort of stunt category that gets introduced or whatever.
Talked about. The Academy actually did just add a stunts branch, which could be signaling a potential first step into creating its own category.
Yeah, I'm not sure it happens this year, in which case I'm not sure.
I think it will happen eventually. I know
eventually, probably, but yeah.
I mean, we could even see something like what happened with The Elephant Man, where it was like you know, that happened, and people were like, we should have a makeup category, and the Academy was like, well, and then after that ceremony, they're like, okay, we'll do a makeup category, and then the next year got instituted. Like, I feel like this film might be like the last domino to fall to get the Academy to actually do it, but I don't know if it will happen in time for this film.
Yeah, that's where my thought process is and the timeline of this sort of thing. Yeah, agreed.
For sure. Okay, time to move on to something that we both loved, which was Rye Lane. This is Rain Allen Miller's directorial debut, and we were so blessed with all these directorial debuts. Like After Sun last year, and the year before we had like Shiva Baby, and it's like so good. So this came out at Sundance. I didn't see it there because I wasn't there in person, but Searchlight picked it up, dropped it on Hulu, and it is pretty goddamn incredible.
It's great.
Incredible. Yeah. It is like this really, really fun, like Before Sunrise-esque, like walk and talk rom-com, except it's like, you know, punchy editing with bright colors and a really like flashy like script that's like jumping back and forth in time. And it's like, I don't know, it's like Before Sunrise on like glitter steroids. Like, it's just like poppy and fun, but it still gets to the like genuine core of these characters through like this like kind of conversational character development in the same way that Linklater's Before trilogy does. And it's like just like kind of a perfect movie.
It's got a lot of things going for it. It's got, firstly, love it when a film has a powerful sense of place. This definitely does, because it just helps you get sort of absorbed into the world that filmmakers are trying to create. And this definitely does. Like South London, I mentioned my Bruce Lee, has never looked this pretty, but they managed to make South London look pretty, which is already a win in my book. Secondly, very powerful voice. Like, I think the director, you know, despite the fact it's their first time, they clearly have found their voice already, which is very impressive to see. And it does remind me of stuff like, as you mentioned, Shiver Baby, Charger Move, where, I mean, Charger Move wasn't a directorial debut, but like, it's still these sort of earlier films where the directors really find their voice. I think it's happened first time. And then finally, the performances are just pretty excellent across the board. Like, obviously not Oscar-free type things or anything like that, but they're very good at what they do. They're very good in these characters. And they sell you very easily on this sort of warmth and this dynamic between them. That is sold very quickly. And yes, a lot of that is due to the screenplay, but most of it in my book is due to the performances between the two.
Vivian Opera and David Johnson, I believe their names. And I know they really quickly develop these characters, and they're really good at concealing emotion and then revealing that emotion at the correct time. Because you have David Johnson's character, Dom, who like very much kind of like wears his heart as a sleeve, and like there's almost kind of like a reverse type of character development throughout it, where like he, you know, slowly becomes like more coming into himself and not just like, you know, open to taking things from everybody. Whereas Yaz, Vivian Opera, she like comes out with this like incredibly like frenetic energy, and then we are almost like deconstructing those types of layers to like get to the core and center of her. And it's this like really fun opposite character development where they still feel like they're characters the entire time. It just feel like we're like pulling out different layers of the Jenga tower to like find different pieces of them, and they're operating in like contrast to each other, which just helps build their relationship so well. Like, it's a goddamn perfect screenplay.
It's very clever. It is very clever, and also to do with the screenplay, the comedy as well really does come through. There are so many funny moments in this. Genuinely, like, laugh out loud, but I don't laugh very regularly to films.
Because you're British.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because I'm British. But no, this is definitely one that did draw that kind of reaction, which is always a bonus in my book. So,
like, and it isn't only just like the dialogue that provides the comedy, but
no,
also
it's visually as well. It's visually.
Yeah, there's so much visual comedy, which I love when a film does. Like, just like sometimes in the cuts. Like, there's one, I can't remember what she was even saying, but when Yaz was just like, she was like kind of like rambling on about something, and then she just ended up as just like, and then it just like cuts to their next conversation. And it's just like things like that where it's like it takes on the personality of the characters, and this just kind of like awkward but like headstrong and naive sensibility. And the filmmaking just fully reflects that. And like
I talked about the director finding their voice, like, and that does also extend to these sort of visual elements. I feel like you can compare it to sort of Edgar Wright, Wes Anderson. It is of that ilk, but it is also its own thing, and it is a sort of
Yeah.
own unique, fresh, and distinctive voice, and that's really, I think, what makes this film just sort of better than your average sort of rom-com, and it is.
It's next generation cinema. It's next generation.
Exactly.
This is
Yeah,
this
it
is the
feels
future
new.
of film.
It feels fresh.
Right. Like I genuinely think like this generation of filmmakers, it's like just like very intentional and powerful editing. And I think we see that so frequently with like a lot of new voices, like, you know, people like the Daniels, people like Charlotte Wells, I mean Emma Seligman recently. Like, and I know Everything Ever wasn't their debut, but their debut Swiss Army Man from like a bit ago. Like it's still, and it has that very like millennial Gen Z type of humor and everything, and it's just like these very strong like comedy and drama blends, very punchy editing, very strong visuals, very emotional character arcs at its core. Like this is next generation cinema, and if we're gonna keep on getting stuff like this, like feed me. No, I absolutely just adored this. I mean, even just like the visuals and how it uses different focal lengths and different lenses to convey like, you know, like the distance and like the, you know, how strenuous the relationship is, and like whether it's like distorting everything and pushing them apart, or whether it's like a narrower length and just pulling them in and closer together. Just like so many nice little touches there. Like the screenplay, like nothing really feels wasted about it. Everything is in service of something later on.
It moves quickly, and that's a good thing.
It's very tight. Like I love this movie a lot. I think it's my favorite film of the year. Like I think it beats out all Dirt Red States of Salt and like Joyland and everything. Like
I'd probably say Joyland was just slightly more emotionally resonant. I don't know if it's really quite had that resonance emotionally with me. But yeah, like everything about it is pretty undeniably pretty great stuff. So yeah, definitely also one of my favorite films of the year, 100%.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 10. I really
9.5. I'm not giving it a 10. I'm a bit more stricter with my 10s, but it's close. It's close. Yes, exactly.
But no, I just like, I don't know. I can't think of like the last time I just watched a film and it left me just like as happy as this did. Like I feel like it's just like genuinely made my week better. Just like watching.
Yeah, exactly. If you want something that's gonna make you feel good, but also is actually genuinely very, very good film as well.
Well crafted, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like Paddington 2. Well crafted, but incredibly playful. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful Den Neighborhood, which I know you feel like, but I'll get in there because I think it fits out.
No, it's a very happy movie, but not in a way that's like emotionally manipulative. It earns every single emotion, which I think is just so impressive. I can't wait to see what this director, Rain Allen Miller, does next.
Rain Allen Miller, remember that name?
Like she's got me in her pocket. I'll watch anything. I will watch anything. So yeah, love this movie. Awards potential, like probably not, except hopefully a DGA first time feature nomination. That's all I'm hoping for.
Yeah, but even that could be a stretch. I mean, it's being done.
Shiva Baby got nominated. Shiva Baby did get nominated.
Yeah.
I feel like it's possible. I feel like they like could do it. It has like a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like people do love this movie. So like I could see it happening. I think that this could also get a fair amount of like indie spirit attention.
Yeah, indie sort of stuff definitely. I feel like it's on the cards for this film. So
yeah,
and it'll be great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like round of applause. Okay. So now Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. I didn't watch this movie. I'll be watching it later. So I'm just gonna attach my thoughts onto the back end of this. But I'm just gonna sit here and look pretty, and Thomas can give you his thoughts.
Yeah, I'll give you my thoughts and look pretty as well. This film's shit. I could use more better words than that, but to be honest, I don't really want to for a film like it. It's a children's film. Listen, I was thinking watching it this whole time. It's a children's film. It's not anything like this sort of high concept fantasy, which I feel like people were trying to claim it was in the reviews. I don't understand where these reviews are coming from at all. Like, I think it might just be a disillusionment with the state of fantasy in general, that this is a sort of thing that is popular. I don't know. I've started off this review very critically, and I'm now going to sort of taper off of it.
I hope everyone who is in it.
It's a very simple movie. I think that is what is giving it its childish sort of quality. Like, you got simple characters undergoing simple arcs in a simple plot in a fairly simple world. Like, for a Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like you could have got a bit more bolder with the sort of world building elements, but no, it is a pretty simple, functional, let's say, world that they've built. With pretty functional, simple filmmaking techniques, and it just creates this sort of vibe, this sort of atmosphere of it being aimed for children. It's a very simple film, and I don't know, like, the technical elements weren't all there. They were fine for what they were. They didn't really sell me on this world. Chris Pine is all right, I guess, if you want that. Like, Chris Pine's decent.
We will specify he is the best Chris, though.
You know
it's true. You know it's true. It's not Pratt. It's not Evans. It's not
Could be Hemsworth.
For what? What has he done? What's he done? Rush?
Cabin in the Woods? Rush?
He's
been in some decent stuff.
I think it's
fine. Chris Evans and Snowpiercer.
Yeah, but like that's all he's done.
Knives Out?
I don't
know. I think this conversation's more interesting in your
it's more interesting. I mean, Chris Pine has like Hell or High Water, though. I think Star Trek's like
that's true.
Like, yeah, he's also
you think he's better in Star Trek than like Captain America 4, potentially?
Yeah.
Chris Evans has done a lot of shit. That is what is the problem with Chris Evans. He's done a lot of shit.
I mean, so is Chris Pine, to be fair, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, so they all. Let's be honest.
So they all are. Also, Chris Pine's in Rise of the Guardians, which is criminally underrated.
Okay, what we can agree is it's not Chris Pratt. Anyway, where was it? Other performances were fine. Like, what's his name? Justice Smith. You told me to pull up the facts about this. I didn't actually do it. Justice Smith.
Quickly gone off the rails.
Yeah, Justice Smith is all right. I seem to recall him being annoying in some stuff I've seen him in previously. But he's all right here. Michelle Rodriguez, it's fine. It's a lot of just average stuff. There's nothing to differentiate it. There's nothing to make it emotionally resonant. There's nothing to make it last my brain for longer than the next couple of hours. Probably I'll be might give a thought to it. But other than that, like, just not really. This is just not a good. I don't know where the rave reviews are coming from. I'm sorry, but it's just lacking in anything, any sort of emotional substance, any narrative substance, any filmmaking substance. It just feels like really a children's film, and so that's fine if you're a child, I guess. But
like, actual film critics are liking this.
I realise I'm calling, again, like John Wick, I'm in the vast minority here. I realise I'm calling the vast majority of people children. But I don't know. I'm tired. I don't want to talk about this film anymore.
Rating?
2.5.
Okay, you texted me before this. Yeah. I asked you what your Letterboxd rating would be, and you said a 2 or 2.5, which would be like a 4 or a 5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I think I was definitely but you know, I don't equate Letterboxd ratings with actual rate. I give Letterboxd ratings on vibes, and I'm like, this feels like a 2.5. It's not a judgment of actual quality. Sure, we're going 2.5, I think, which would make it a what on Letterboxd? 1.5. That's wildly off. Wildly off. Anyway, 2.5. Close to 3. Strong 2.5. We got it.
Strong 2.5.
Yes.
Okay, and obviously no words potential. I'll attach my brief thoughts on right here. Say hello to Future
Trevor. It will be brief. You don't want to talk about it for long.
Hey everyone, Future Trevor here to say that basically I agree with everything that Thomas said. I found this movie very, very boring and dull. There's some interesting technical stuff going on. But I don't know. I found it way too overlong. The comedy didn't really work for me. I hate this like undercutting self-referential type of comedy that doesn't really own itself. It's just trying to be funny, but doesn't fully commit to the bit and still wants to be dramatic. Like you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I feel like that's very much what this film was trying to do. I don't know. It felt so incredibly derivative, so incredibly been there, done that. I didn't really care about anything that was going on. I'm sitting at like a 3.5, 4 out of 10. Meh. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I probably did. Who knows? I'm going in with an open mind. Maybe I love this movie. Maybe this is my favorite movie of the year. I don't know. But anyways, those are our thoughts on these 3 movies. Please don't be too mad at us. We do like movies, I promise. But anyways, go watch Rye Lane, and there's other 2 movies that are out in theaters. Anyways,
just like snobs in this.
We look like snobs.
Oh well, we'll cut it there, I reckon.
Oh my god, these late recordings never go well.
They never go.
Anyways, that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Oh, we're still going.